Starting an online course is one of the most profitable ways to spread your knowledge and influence. The e-learning market is estimated to be worth over $325 billion by 2025, and it'd be pretty nice to get a slice of that pie, right? In today's video, we'll discuss what the best online course software is for your needs. And I emphasize your needs because it really depends on what you're looking to accomplish. Not only today, but 3 years from today as well. I've put about 15 hours just in research into this video and created this in-depth Google sheet that we'll get to later. I also tested out these course tools and learned some expensive lessons I'll share with you so you don't lose a few $100s like I did. The tools we'll be reviewing are Thinkific, Teachable, Learnworlds, Podia, Kajabi, and Clickfunnels. What I realized is that your decision breaks down into 6 questions you need to ask yourself. Does a MOOC or Toolkit serve you better? What is your educational niche? What are your STV and LTV? How comfortable are you with Zapier? What tools do you currently use? And lastly, what is your budget? I know I just threw a lot out there, but we're gonna break it down into easy chunks so that you can make the right decision for your needs. Let's start with MOOC versus Toolkit and what are the differences. MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. This is where they have actual marketplaces that people will visit and search out and pay for a course on a specific topic. Udemy, Skillshare, Lynda, and Coursera are all examples of this. These are different from Toolkits, which are online course software tools such as Thinkific, Teachable, Learnworlds, Podia, Kajabi, and Clickfunnels. The cons to these two options are that a MOOC typically has a lower payout and less control, but a toolkit requires you to drive traffic on your own. I won't get into it with too much detail in this video, but I suggest going the route of a course toolkit so you can control your pricing and build your email list without any issues. If you are interested in further clarification of why I'm against MOOCs, check out my video on why Udemy is a scam for course creators. I'll link to it in the description below, and I think the card will pop open right here. That's why I prefer toolkits such as the ones I mentioned before. You control your earnings, ability to grow your email list, and have more potential to scale your online course. One thing I like to do when comparing services like these is tossing them into Google Trends to see how these companies are trending over time. If you're not familiar with Google Trends, I highly recommend you use this tool to research the topic you want to build a course on. I say that because you want to make sure that topic is trending in the right direction and there is going to be future demand for it. The last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time and energy building a course that there is no demand for. Hypothetically, let's say you wanted to create an online course on how to become a travel agent. If you put the search term travel agent into Google Trends and extend the look back window to 2004, you'll notice this is not trending in the right direction. So this would not be a good career choice for people in general, and also it would not be a good course to create because demand for travel agents is diminishing. You want to create something with steady or increasing demand. Now let's take a look at Thinkific, Teachable, Podia, Kajabi, and Clickfunnels on Google Trends. I left Learnworlds off because it had the lowest interest and I'm only allowed to put 5 search terms in. As you can see, there really isn't a clear winner here, but Thinkific and Podia have less interest compared to Kajabi, Clickfunnels, and Teachable. I share this because none of these services are trending in a negative direction, but it also highlights how confusing it can be to pick the right service because there isn't a clear favorite in terms of search interest. But I mention this because this is a super valuable and free tool to help you do some research for your future course. So let's start to break this down a little further with our next question of what's your educational niche? Now, I don't mean what topic are you going to be focusing on, such as how to become a travel agent, which again is a bad idea for a course. What I'm talking about here is what kind of educator do you want to be? There are 3 types here. Are you a course creator, a coach, or a trainer? Here's how this breaks out. A course creator is someone looking to minimize their involvement and maximize profit from an online course. A coach might be looking to supplement their one-on-one coaching business with an online curriculum. A trainer would be looking at partnering with companies and corporations and creating educational courses for employees that may require analytics, tests, and certifications. So ask yourself which one identifies you best, and here's how I would separate these 6 services. All 6 services will work well for course creators. When you look into coaching, I dropped Thinkific and Learnworlds off the list, and that's because services like Teachable, Podia, Clickfunnels, and Kajabi have features designed for building a coaching program. For example, on Teachable, you have features for gathering feedback, seeing milestones with students, integrating with calendar apps for one-on-ones, and more. Now, as far as a corporate trainer, this might be someone who is creating educational content and selling it to a business to educate their staff. I think Teachable stands out here because they offer engagement analytics, certifications, quizzes, and even CSV reports you could export to the person in charge of the company you're working with. At this point, you might be thinking I'm leading you towards Teachable, but it's really not the case, as I think it has its fair share of issues, and I'll explain later in this video. But for a coach or trainer, I think it's a great option. Now, let's talk about your next question of what are your STV and LTV. STV and LTV stand for short-term vision and long-term vision. This is important because you want a tool that works for you today, but will also grow with you down the line. A good example of this is buying a house. I've had a few friends who bought a house in their mid-20s, but they didn't really look too far down the road, and then they had 2 kids and a dog and realized they didn't have enough room, so they had to buy a bigger house 5 years later. They were focused on the short term, but not the long-term vision. With respect to choosing a course software, I'd ask you to think about what you want to do down the road if this is successful. For example, do you just want to do courses today, but think you might want to be a coach down the line? That'll change the way you look at the last question we went over. Or perhaps you want to sell actual products at some point. For example, let's say you want to create a course on how to play slap guitar, which is where you play the guitar and also kind of slap the guitar so it sounds like you're drumming at the same time. Side note, if you've never watched slap guitarist Andy McKee, I'll link to him at the end of this video because he's awesome and you'll thank me later. For a course on slap guitar, any of these tools would be a good fit. But let's say down the line you could see creating your own slap guitar brand. You sell rings that you can wear on your thumb that creates a unique sound when slapping your guitar. Well, some of these tools will directly integrate with e-commerce stores and some won't. For context, Thinkific, Learnworlds, and Clickfunnels integrate with Shopify, so you could sell branded slap guitar rings on your Shopify store and then upsell them to your digital course on how to learn slap guitar seamlessly integrated on the same page. This is pretty cool because then you could have an e-commerce brand that feeds sales to your educational course, and in turn that course could feed sales to your e-commerce brand. That's why thinking about short and long-term vision is so important. Just think about where you want to take things down the road. Now, for our next question, I want you to think about how comfortable you are with Zapier. If you're not familiar with Zapier, it's a third-party tool that helps you connect between 2 or more apps. For example, Teachable is one of the toolkits that does not connect with Shopify, but you can connect the two using Zapier. This requires some technical chops. To some people, Zapier is a breeze, but others would find it impossible. Personally, I've never had a good experience with Zapier, as I used it with an email service and an e-commerce store, and I would get these like daily error notifications that my Zaps weren't working, and I found it really frustrating. But if you're more tech savvy or willing to pay someone who is, then you can increase the features of any of these packages using Zapier webhooks. Now, for an easy tip here, if you're not familiar with Zapier, I'd suggest using a tool that has many built-in integrations. Now, that being said, I want to move into our next question of what tools do you already use? Mainly what I'm referring to is if you have an email service provider already. Just know that none of these course platforms were built with email marketing in mind, so none of them can hold a candle to any outside email service providers. So I'd recommend you use an email tool and then integrate it with whatever course software you end up going with. The popular ones that come to mind are MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, Constant Contact, and Aweber. This is a screenshot of a Google Sheet I created that shows what email services have integrations built in. Now, let's say you use ActiveCampaign, you'll notice that it doesn't have an integration with Teachable, which means you'll have to use Zapier to get Teachable and ActiveCampaign to communicate. As I said earlier, that would be a deal killer for me, but if you're comfortable with Zapier, you may be fine with that. For ease of reference, I've shared this Google Sheet in the description below, and you'll see the 3rd, 4th, and 5th tabs are about integrations. The first tab is an overview comparing all features, and the second tab shows how transaction fees affect your net income from course sale. I will also have affiliate links in the description below for each service, and I appreciate you using my links because I put a lot of time into developing these resources for you. You still get the lowest possible price, but I may receive a commission when you use my link. Now, let's talk about budget. Do you have an idea of how much you'd like to spend? On the first tab of the Google Sheet, I laid out pricing for these services, and the numbers to the left of the slash represent monthly price, and to the right is the average monthly cost if you go with an annual plan. Now, what you'll find is that you're looking at a spectrum that goes from Thinkific to Clickfunnels. That's because Thinkific has a completely free plan that graduates into a paid plan as your revenue grows, and Clickfunnels will run you anywhere from $80 up to $2,500 a month depending on your needs. I didn't want to start with pricing because, again, it depends on a host of different factors. To make your decision easier for you, here's what I'd do with these 6 services. I'd split them up into 2 groups. The first group is Thinkific, Teachable, and Learnworlds. The second group is Podia, Kajabi, and Clickfunnels. Now what I would do next is remove Learnworlds because it doesn't separate itself from the other 2 in the group, and it charges a $5 fee on every course sale. If you're a budget conscious, go with Thinkific, and if you want to do coaching and you're okay with Zapier, go with Teachable. Now, the second group is more feature rich because you can create entire websites, upsells and downsells, and all sorts of functionality to help you market and sell your courses. In this group, I dropped Kajabi, and the reason for that is I think it's a poor man's Clickfunnels that charges more for the low and middle tier packages with far fewer integrations and capability. I'd go with Clickfunnels if you have some budget and want an extremely solid and established tool. Their customer service is by far the best, as I've asked questions and received video responses answering my question. So if you typically hit up support a lot, you'll be happy with Clickfunnels. If you can't stomach the Clickfunnels price tag, I'd go with Podia if you want a feature-rich tool at a lower price. Just expect a few more bumps and hiccups getting your course set up. In my case, I'm going with Thinkific because I've paid for too many tools over the years that didn't produce a positive ROI for my business. I like the fact that it's a tool that starts out for free and has a win-win model where they earn money from you when you're producing and want to upgrade into a paid subscription. However, a word of caution is that when you sign up for any of these trials, be sure to look at your plan after signing up. I say this because I did the Clickfunnels 14-day trial and didn't realize it placed me into the middle tier plan at $297 a month. And luckily their support was cool about refunding me and lowering my package to $97 plan. So if you do a trial, be sure to immediately go into your account and see which plan you're on a trial for and downgrade if you don't need those additional features. Now, the number one reason I see creators fail is something I like to call the field of dreams fallacy, where creators think if you build it, they will come. And this isn't the case for most creators. I mention this because you want to learn how to drive consistent traffic to your courses. For me, I found YouTube to be the most reliable traffic source for courses because people who will take your course prefer learning via video, so you'll want to capture attention on YouTube and convert those viewers into traffic to your course using something I call the Pepperoni Pizza Procedure. By the way, I absolutely adore alliteration. So I know it sounds silly, but it'll make sense when you check out my free lesson. I have a link in the description below to my Thinkific course on how to drive traffic to your course via YouTube, and there will be a free lesson in there for you on how to drive traffic. This is helpful because you'll not only learn how to create traffic and sales for your online course, but you'll also see how the platform looks and operates from the student's perspective. Again, I want you to pick the option that best fits your needs. Personally, I'd earn the most income if I just push you to Clickfunnels, but I think most people will be best suited for Thinkific if you're just looking to build a course. Then, if you're a coach or trainer, I believe Teachable is the best option. And if you want all the bells and whistles, you can decide between Podia and Clickfunnels. Lastly, on the screen here, I have created a Thinkific review tutorial that'll walk you through that platform. And also on the screen is that slap guitarist if you want to check that out. And again, thank you for using my referral links in the description below as it helps to support my YouTube channel.